The exam room door swung open, and I saw his face before he saw mine. My husband. Sitting in the chair next to the exam table, his hand resting on the knee of a woman I had never seen before in my life. He was smiling, that easy, relaxed smile he used to save just for me. And when his eyes finally tracked up to the doorway where I stood holding a patient chart, the color drained from his face so fast it looked like someone had pulled a plug somewhere behind his skin. The woman looked at me, then at him, then back at me, and I said, "My husband walked into the OB GYN clinic where I work, with another woman, for a consultation, and, well, he didn't walk out the same man." My name's Ellery, and I'm 37 years old. I've been a certified nurse midwife for 11 years, working at a women's health clinic that handles everything from routine exams to prenatal consultations to fertility planning. I love my job. It's the kind of work that makes you feel like you're part of something bigger, even on the hard days. I married my husband Thatcher when I was 28. We met through mutual friends at a cookout, one of those lazy summer afternoons where the burgers are burned and nobody cares. He was an operations manager for a logistics company, organized, confident, the kind of guy who always had a plan. We clicked immediately. For the first 6 years, we were solid. We bought a house, adopted a dog named Buckley, split the chores like reasonable adults, and genuinely liked being around each other. We'd been trying to have kids for about 2 years with no luck, which put a strain on things. Doctor visits, timing, the quiet grief of another negative test. But we were handling it. Or at least, I thought we were. The crack started about a year before the clinic day. Thatcher got a promotion that came with longer hours and more travel. At first, I was proud of him. He'd worked hard for it. But the distance crept in slowly. Fewer dinners together, conversations that felt like status updates instead of real talk, weekends where he was physically home, but mentally somewhere else entirely. My older sister Greer noticed before I did. She came over one Sunday with her 12-year-old daughter Margot to help me plant herbs in the backyard, something our mom used to do every spring before she passed. While Margot was digging in the dirt and singing to herself, Greer leaned over to me and said, "When's the last time Thatcher did something with you that wasn't scheduled?" I opened my mouth to answer and nothing came out. "That's what I thought," she said. Sometimes I think the scariest realizations aren't the ones that hit you all at once. They're the ones that have been sitting in the room with you for months, waiting for someone to finally point at them. I tried talking to Thatcher about it. One night, I made his favorite meal, this pork tenderloin with roasted sweet potatoes, set the table properly, lit a candle. When he sat down, he said, "This is nice. What's the occasion?" "No occasion. I just feel like we've been passing each other lately." He took a bite, chewed slowly. "I've been swamped with the new accounts. It'll ease up." "It's not just about work, Thatch. We don't talk anymore. Not really." "We're talking right now." "You know what I mean." He set his fork down. "Ellery, I'm doing the best I can. I don't know what else you want from me." That sentence, "I don't know what else you want from me." I heard it so many times over the following months that it started to feel less like a question and more like a door closing. Meanwhile, he started getting protective about his phone. Little things at first, turning the screen away when a notification popped up, taking calls in the garage, keeping it face down on the nightstand instead of plugged in on his side table. I told myself it was work, the new accounts, the promotion pressure. I told myself a lot of things during that time, and I was fluent in every one of those lies because I was the one writing them. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and the bed was empty. I found Thatcher downstairs on the couch, phone screen glowing against his face. When he saw me on the stairs, he locked it fast. "Couldn't sleep," he said. "Who were you texting?" "Nobody. Work group chat. Go back to bed, Elle." I went back to bed. I lay there in the dark and stared at the ceiling and felt the distance between us like a physical thing, like the mattress was a mile wide and getting wider. My coworker and close friend Palmer watched me carry this weight into work every day. Palmer's a physician assistant at the clinic, sharp and warm, the kind of person who can read a room in 2 seconds. She'd bring me coffee without asking, cover my charts when I was running behind, and occasionally say things like, "You know you don't have to hold it all together all the time, right?" "I'm fine," I'd say. "You always say that, and you're never lying harder than when you do." Around this time, something else was weighing on me. Greer's marriage was struggling too. Her husband Dale had been laid off 6 months earlier, and the financial pressure was squeezing them from every direction. Greer never complained, that wasn't her style, but I could hear it in the edges of her voice, the tiredness, the thinness of her patience. One night she called me and said Margot had asked why Daddy was home all the time now and why he seemed angry, and Greer had gone to the bathroom and cried with the faucet running so nobody could hear. I drove over the next morning with groceries, and we cooked breakfast together while Margot watched cartoons. We didn't talk about Dale or Thatcher. We just made pancakes and existed in the same room, and sometimes that's enough. I learned that you can't always fix someone's problems, but you can stand in their kitchen and flip pancakes and remind them that they're not standing alone. Then came the day. It was a Tuesday. Ordinary. Overcast. I was running behind because we'd had 2 back-to-back prenatal visits that went long, and I was reviewing charts at the nurse's station when Palmer came over with a strange look on her face. "Hey," she said, lowering her voice. "Your next consult in room 4. I just roomed them." "Okay?" She hesitated. "It's Thatcher." I almost laughed. "What?" "Your husband is in room 4, with a woman. They're here for a prenatal consultation." The world went very, very quiet. I could hear the fluorescent lights buzzing above me. I could hear the receptionist's keyboard clicking down the hall. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears like a drum being hit underwater. "Are you sure?" I asked, even though I knew Palmer would never say something like that if she wasn't. "I roomed them myself." I didn't realize it was him until I checked the chart and saw the partner's name. The appointment was booked under her name, Sloane Kirchner. Sloane Kirchner. I'd never heard that name in my life. "What do you want to do?" Palmer asked. "I can get Dr. Harwood to take it. You don't have to go in there." I stood up. My legs felt strange, like they were operating on a delay. "No," I said. "I'll go." "Ellery, I need to see it." Palmer grabbed my arm gently. "Then I'm standing right outside that door." I walked down the hall. My shoes were silent on the tile. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. I stopped outside room 4, looked down at the chart. Sloane Kirchner, age 31, first prenatal visit approximately 10 weeks, and I pushed the door open. That's when I saw him. His hand on her knee, his easy smile, that relaxed posture he got when he was comfortable. And then his eyes met mine. "Ellery," he said. Just my name. Like a confession and a plea all at once. The woman, Sloane, looked between us. "Do you two know each other?" I set the chart down on the counter. My hands were steady. I don't know how, but they were steady. "I'm his wife," I said. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Sloane's face went through about 6 expressions in 3 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, horror, anger, shame, and then something that settled into a hard, furious understanding. "You're married?" she said to Thatcher. Not to me, to him. "Sloane, let me explain. You told me you were separated. You told me the divorce was almost finalized." Looking back, I realized the betrayal broke open in 2 directions at once, toward me and toward her. And in that moment, standing in my own clinic in my own scrubs, I understood that Thatcher had built an entire architecture of lies that was collapsing on all of us simultaneously. Thatcher stood up. "Ellery, can we talk about this at home?" "No," I said. "We can't, because you just walked your pregnant girlfriend into my workplace for a prenatal appointment, and I'm the one who was supposed to examine her." "I didn't know you'd be... I thought Dr. Harwood..." "You booked an appointment at my clinic, Thatcher. The clinic I've worked at for 11 years. What exactly was the plan?"
He had no answer. His mouth moved, but nothing useful came out. Sloane stood up, pulling her jacket tight around herself. Her eyes were red. She looked at me and said,
"I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't know."
I believed her. Something about the rawness in her voice, the way her hands were shaking. She wasn't performing. She was devastated. "I believe you," I said, and I meant it. She walked out. I heard her footsteps quicken down the hall, then the front door chime. Palmer appeared in the doorway behind me. Thatcher was still standing there, looking at me like he was waiting for me to scream or cry or throw something. But I didn't do any of those things. I felt a strange, crystalline calm, the kind that comes when the thing you've been dreading finally arrives, and it turns out the anticipation was worse than the actual moment. "I need you to leave," I said. "Right now. Through the back exit. Palmer will show you out." "Ellery, please." Don't say please. Don't say my name like that. Just go." Palmer stepped aside to let him pass. As he walked by her, she said nothing. She didn't have to. Her face said everything. After he left, I went to the staff bathroom, locked the door, sat on the floor, and breathed. I didn't cry yet. That came later. In that moment, I just sat there and let my brain catch up to what my body already knew, that my marriage was over, and it had probably been over for longer than I wanted to admit. I called Greer that night. She answered on the first ring, like she'd been waiting. "I need to tell you something," I said. "Tell me!" I told her everything. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Pack a bag. You and Buckley are staying with me tonight." "Greer, you've got enough going on." "Pack a bag." I packed a bag. I drove to her house with Buckley in the back seat, his head out the window like it was any other car ride. Margot met me at the door in her pajamas and hugged my waist without saying anything. And I thought, this kid understands more than any of us give her credit for. I sometimes think children absorb the emotional weather of a house the way roots absorb rain, quietly, completely, without anyone noticing until you see what's grown. The weeks that followed were a blur of logistics and grief. I contacted a lawyer. Thatcher tried calling 17 times the first day. I let every call go to voicemail. He left messages that ranged from apologetic to defensive to pleading. I deleted them all without listening past the first sentence. Palmer held things together at work. She rearranged my schedule so I had lighter days, brought me lunch when I forgot to eat, and one afternoon when I found myself standing in the supply closet staring at nothing, she came in, closed the door, and just stood with me. "You don't have to be strong right now," she said. "I don't know how to be anything else." "Then just be here. That's enough." Thatcher moved out of the house within the week. I didn't ask where he went. I assumed he went to Sloane's, but I later found out through the lawyer that Sloane had ended things with him immediately, completely and permanently. She'd sent him a single text. "You lied to me about who you are. Don't contact me again." He ended up at a corporate stay hotel near the highway. Part of me felt a grim satisfaction in that. He'd burned down 2 lives to build something that collapsed before the foundation set. The other part of me, the part that remembered the man at the cookout who'd made me laugh until my stomach hurt, just felt sad. The divorce moved quickly. Thatcher didn't fight it. Whether that was guilt or exhaustion, I don't know. We split the house, the accounts, the accumulated years. Buckley stayed with me. That was the only thing I insisted on. The mediator asked if there was anything else I wanted, and I almost laughed. What I wanted wasn't something a legal document could give me. I wanted the last 3 years back. I wanted to unknow what I now knew. The hardest day was packing up his side of the closet. I stood there surrounded by his shirts, the blue flannel he wore on our first date, the gray suit from our wedding, and it was like handling artifacts from a civilization that no longer existed. I put everything in boxes and left them by the front door and sat on the bedroom floor with Buckley's head in my lap until the sky went dark. One evening, toward the end of it all, I was sitting on Greer's back porch while Margot did homework inside. The sky was going pink and orange, the way it does in early fall. Dale came out and sat next to me. He'd found part-time work by then, nothing permanent, but he seemed lighter. He handed me a glass of iced tea and said, "For what it's worth, you're the toughest person I know."
I don't feel tough.
Tough people never do.
6 months later, I'm still at the clinic. Still doing the work I love, still walking into those exam rooms every morning with a purpose that nobody, not Thatcher, not the grief, not the wreckage, could take from me. Palmer and I recently started a weekend hiking group. Nothing serious, just trails and thermoses of coffee and conversations that feel real. Greer and I are closer than ever. Margot draws me pictures of Buckley and tapes them to my fridge when she visits. Last week, she drew one where Buckley is wearing a cape, and underneath she wrote, "He protects you." I cried for 10 minutes. I still think about Thatcher sometimes. Not with longing, more like looking at a house that burned down and trying to remember where the furniture was. The shape of it is there, but the details are getting softer. I don't hate him. I just don't recognize him anymore. And some nights, when it's quiet and Buckley is asleep on the couch beside me, I think about Sloane Kirchner. I hope she's okay. I hope she found a doctor she likes. I hope the baby is healthy. I hope she knows that what happened in that exam room wasn't her fault any more than it was mine. We were both just standing in the wreckage of someone else's choices. Have you ever discovered a truth about someone in the most unexpected place or moment? How did it change you? I'd love to hear your story. Share it in the comments. And if this one stayed with you, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.